The Asuka period. The Asuka period lasted from 538 to 710, although its beginning may coincide with the end of the Kofun period. The Asuka period is named after the Asuka region, located about 25 kilometers south of present-day Nara. The Yamato state, which emerged during the Kofun period, developed rapidly during the Asuka period. Many imperial palaces were built in the region during this time. The Asuka period is known for significant changes in art, society, and politics. These changes originated at the end of the Kofun period, but were heavily influenced by the arrival of Buddhism in Japan. The advent of Buddhism marked a major shift in Japanese society. The Asuka period is also distinguished from other periods by the change in the name of the state from Yamato to Japan. Crown Prince Shotoku restored the power of the Dewa kingdom. The first attempts were made to create a constitution and a formal class system. Prince Shotoku promoted Buddhism. Several Buddhist temples were built, such as Shitenno-ji and Horyu-ji. The Soga family became powerful, but was later overthrown by Fujiwara no Kumatari under Prince Nokon-o-o. Power struggles within the court led to the overthrow of the Soga family's control in 645. The overthrow, led by Prince Nokon-o-o and Nakatomi no Kumatari, regained control of the court from the Soga family and initiated the Taika reforms Taika no Kaishin, ending Japanese rule in Korea. The spirit of the Taika reforms is reflected in the legal code known as the Imperial Decrees under Emperor Tenma, later improved under Emperor Munma, his grandson. Based on artistic changes, this period can be divided into two phases: the Asuka period until the Taika reforms, when the first Buddhist elements appeared with influences from the Northern Wei and Baekje dynasties, and the Hokuho period after the Taika reforms, when influences from the Sui and Tang dynasties began to appear. The Nara period. The Nara period lasted from 710 to 794. Emperor Gemai established the capital at Haijukyo, present-day Nara, except for 5 years, 740 to 745, when the capital had to be moved elsewhere. It was the capital of Japan until Emperor Konmu established the capital at Nagaoka-kyo in 784, before moving to Heian or Kyoto. A decade later in 794, Nara was built modeled after Chang'an, present-day Xi'an, the capital of the Tang dynasty in China. In other areas, the Japanese upper class took the Chinese as role models, including the adoption of Chinese writing and Buddhism. The emperor wielded great authority. The Tang dynasty culture of China was massively introduced, becoming a powerful driving force for the development of indigenous culture. Thanks to the efforts of the imperial court, the first works of Japanese cultural history from the Nara period were recorded. Works such as the Kojiki and Nihon Shoki, with their original political significance, were preserved, thus establishing and defining the supremacy of the Japanese emperors. Thanks to the spread of writing, Japanese poetry began to be composed, such as waka. Over time, private poetry collections were published. The largest collection of Japanese poetry is the Manyoshu. Dating from around 759, Chinese characters were used to represent the sounds of the Japanese language, known as Manyogana, until the invention of kana. Another important cultural development during this era was the formalization of Buddhism. In the 6th century, Buddhism was introduced to Japan by the Baekje kingdom, but its adoption was mixed until Emperor Sengoku of the Nara period wholeheartedly embraced it. Emperor Shomu and his Fujiwara clan were devout Buddhists who actively propagated Buddhism, transforming it into a protector of the nation and a means of strengthening the Japanese regime. The Heian period. The Heian period lasted from 794 to 1192. The capital was moved to Heian. This is considered a milestone in Japanese culture, remembered and admired by later generations. The Heian period also marked the rise of the samurai class, the class that would eventually seize power and begin the feudal period in Japan. Essentially, supreme power rested with the emperor. However, in reality, the Fujiwara noble family wielded considerable influence. Nevertheless, to protect their interests in the provinces, the Fujiwara and other noble families needed bodyguards, guards, and soldiers. The warrior class learned a great deal during the Heian period. In early 939, Tyranno Masakado threatened the central government's authority by leading a rebellion in Hitachi province in the north. Almost simultaneously, Fujiwara no Sumitomo rebelled in the west. Much of the government's power lay in the shogun's private army. The encroachment of the samurai class on imperial influence was a consequence of the Hogun rebellion. Around this time, Tyron Okiyomori emulated Fujiwara's scheme by placing his son on the throne as regent. The Taira clan remained in power until after the Genpei War, which marked the beginning of the shogunate. The Kamakura period began in 1185, when Minamoto no Yoritomo seized power from the emperor and established the Kamakura or shogunate in Kamakura. New, Japanized Buddhist sects were established, the Tendai and Shingon, largely incorporating progressive elements. The Ritsuyo legal system was revised. Chinese-style poetry flourished at court, primarily written by male authors. The Fujiwara clan wielded power behind the throne. From the late 9th to the late 11th century, the administration of the government by regents became the norm. The imperial court lost real control of the country, retaining only a representative role. Public welfare was neglected. Provincial leaders became corrupt and lazy. The owners of the manors, Shun, formed groups of warriors for self-defense, marking the beginning of the samurai system armed warriors and bodyguards. Japanese poetry flourished, especially waka, a 31-syllable verse form. Kokin and other waka anthologies were compiled. Other works include the world's first novel, The Tale of Genji by Murasaki Shikibu, the essays The Pillow Book by Sei Shonagon, The Tale of Eyes, and the Tosa Diary. From the late 11th century to 1192 marked the beginning of a century in which emperors withdrew from worldly affairs, becoming monks but still indirectly governing the imperial court. The imperial court gradually transformed into a state without real power, with bureaucracy detached from reality, neglecting public welfare and preoccupied only with building temples and spreading Buddhist thought. The imperial aristocracy became decadent and useless,